Hello YouTube, if you are new here, my name is Jody. I'm a horticulturist, and in this video I'm going to be taking you through a site survey and just the steps I go through to analyze a property before I do a landscape design. So I'm here today on a property where the homeowners want to revamp the backyard, make it usable, just give it a refresh and get it looking really good again. So I'm going to take you through that process, explain what I do and why, and then at the end I'll show you guys the actual design. So here's the area of the backyard that they're looking to have redone. This is the fire pit area. You can see this old crumbling fire pit. They're looking to have that replaced with something more functional as well as nicer looking. And then in the background you can see this little planting area. They're looking to have that made into an actual more functional, more beautiful plant bed. So I'll be working on that as well. You can also see the dead grass in this area. You can see the uneven ground, and you can tell it just isn't very usable. So what I'm going to do is measure all these areas, determine what sort of shapes, what sort of materials, what sort of color scheme would be best, and then I'll show you guys how I lay that out on paper. So before I can do anything fun like choose plants or decorations, I need to know how much room I'm actually working with. So this is me going around the property, recording the different dimensions, and being able to determine how much space I have for plants, how much mulch I'll need, things like that. It's very important to record these dimensions accurately. Just a couple of things to make note of in this fire pit area. The first is this spot right here. This is where the fire pit used to be before the homeowners moved it to its current location. You can see that the ground is just a little bit uneven here. So I'm going to make a note on the design to either have that leveled or perhaps have the new fire pit built in this spot. Because where it is now, it's kind of close to the steps, and I don't really like that. That's not great for either functionality or aesthetics. And the other thing I want to highlight is right here. You can see this old root channel right here, and this is where an old stump used to be. So that's going to have to be filled in and leveled as well. And then let me show you this area right here. It's a beautiful little alley in here, but the homeowners have constant problems with needles dropping, with squirrels. They're tired of constantly having to clean up pine needles every spring and every fall. So they'd like this area to be redone as well into some sort of planting bed. Let's just go for a walk and check it out. You can see all these roots on the ground. You can see all the leaves along the fence line that drop from these trees. So they would like those to be restrained so they don't have to clean those up. Here are the largest roots. Just take a look at that. So right now what I'm thinking for this area is to have everything cleaned up really thoroughly, probably have those larger roots cut out, and then lay down landscape fabric and install whatever plants I end up selecting. And then probably what I'll do for a mulch in this area is river rock or some sort of large stone to help solve the squirrel problem, as well as to ensure that the pets, there are 2 cats and a dog living on this property, to ensure that they don't dig things up. One other important thing I want to highlight is this little dip, this low spot beside this concrete pad. The homeowners have said that's been causing all sorts of issues. You can even see right here, there's snow still remaining. So I'm going to call for that to be regraded, and I'll confirm this later when I have some time to sit with this information and just think about it. But either a swale heading off towards the west or resloping the area to drain into that ditch by the road. The last area I want to highlight is this rock bed in front of the house. Now, this area is going to remain as is, but the reason I'm showing it is to highlight the importance of surveying all of a home, all of a property, to ensure that the final product is cohesive. So when I'm choosing stones and choosing materials for the other areas, I'm going to want to ensure that they match this, because we want the final product to look intentional, we want it to look well thought out, and we don't want there to be any regrets after the last shovel is packed up. All right, here is the finished layout plan. All I have to do now is double check that everything is where I want it to be, and then I'll do a rendering, which is adding color to the drawing to really help it come to life and to help the clients be able to visualize what the finished product will look like. All right, it's been a couple of days since I took the measurements and did this initial drawing, but it's time to render this diagram, so let's do it. All right, now for the fun part, let's talk plants. My first selection that I want to show you is this one, white feather hosta. I chose this because of the soil and the light conditions on this site. With large mature trees, the sunlight is fairly limited, and the soil is clay and it holds a lot of moisture. And hostas love those conditions, as do ferns, which leads me to my second selection. This guy right here, its common name is Cape Deer Fern. And these plants are going to go around the fire pit area. I especially love the foliage color of the hosta. That, along with the flowers that I chose for that area during the summer, are going to provide a lot of really nice color interest. The flowers that are going to go along the retaining wall, these were both requested by the client. This lily blend, as well as bleeding heart, and I chose an orange tulip as well to provide some extended seasonal interest. The tulips will bloom in the springtime before anything else does, and then the bleeding heart and the lily will be coming to life as the tulips are fading. For the pine tree alley, I chose, let me just find it, but I chose something called Patriot Blueberry. Perfect. That is Patriot Blueberry. And I chose it because it's self-fertile. And if you look on the diagram, you'll see that I called for it to be put into pots. And there are two reasons for that. One, blueberries don't like clay. This site has clay. But the homeowners have been wanting blueberries to grow. They've said they even tried last year and the plants unfortunately didn't make it. Secondly, when those pots are placed where I called for them to be placed on the diagram, they're going to provide a lot of nice height interest that people will see as they come up the driveway and approach the property. I also called for wild strawberry as a ground cover. Number one, because cultivated strawberries aren't going to do well in those conditions. they need more sunlight, whereas wild strawberry is an understory plant. It's already used to those conditions. Secondly, something I try to do in my designs is really highlight edible species. And in this design, I have 3 of them. Number 1 is the strawberry. Number 2 is the Patriot blueberry that I showed you a moment ago. And number 3 is actually the hosta. Hosta foliage is edible, which is something I learned at college. The final plant that I chose is prickly rose, or you may have also heard the name wild rose. This is dear to my heart. It's Alberta's provincial flower, and I just placed a few of them along the end of that pine tree alley to provide a bit of interest as well as some nice fragrance along the driveway. Moving on from plants, let's talk materials. If you had a good look at the diagram, you may have noticed that I called for wood mulch along the entire area. The reason I opted for that, rather than stone along the pine tree alley like I had been considering, is just for simplicity's sake. Simplicity of installation and simplicity of the design after it's been installed. As for the squirrels as well as the pets, I called for that mulch to be installed in a 3-inch layer, which should be deep enough to hinder any digging and protect the plants from critters. I also called for stepping stones around the fire pit area. This is to provide pedestrian traffic a way to circulate. It provides a focused, concentrated pathway through the area and helps the space to feel more grounded. Rather than having a new fire pit built completely from scratch, I did call for one from a kit so that whether the homeowners end up installing this design themselves or they hire help, it's simple and it's going to be much more cost effective. The edging I called for is from a company called Buda, and I love their products and I've been trying to incorporate them into more of my designs lately. This is a faux rock, no dig edging. I do have to admit I've never actually worked with this product directly. However, I have looked on the website and I've seen lots of other designs that use it. I've seen videos of it being installed, and it's just a simple hammer-in installation. The company I worked for last summer used dig-in black plastic edging, and if you've ever worked with that, you know what a nightmare it is. So I'm calling for Buda edging. Number 1, again, for simplicity, and number 2, because it's going to match the house and match the rest of the design. It's important to choose materials that are going to create a cohesive final product, and that's what these materials do. That brings me to the end of this video, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching.